Yeah, man. Well, hey, thanks for taking your time and sitting down with me. Certainly
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get to cross talking about hockey on a podcast off my bucket list, so thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, man. But I mean, I kind of just wanted to start with, obviously that you guys decided to move out to San Diego quite a couple, what, three years ago now? 4?
Almost 4. Yeah.
Almost 4 years. And the main reasoning for that was just kind of to try something new,
Yeah,
and kind of go on your own. But what was sort of the process and thinking with that?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. We were, as you know, we grew up in South Central Pennsylvania, lived in Pennsylvania our whole lives, and uh, got out of school and weren't happy with what we were doing. And I always wanted to live in San Diego. I vacationed here before as a kid, and Jess and I came out here before to visit, and just decided it was the time to do something different. We were young and ready for a different adventure. So, yeah, and obviously sunshine, surf, beach day, any day of the week is always a plus. But now that we're out here, there's so much more than that. But I think that was the original reason. So.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly even Sarah and I, obviously we got a chance to come and visit you guys, and that was the thing that was kind of like the general rule is just like, yeah, it doesn't suck. The weather is certainly nice, and honestly, just the ability, we were pleasantly surprised on. Don't get me wrong, the rent, the gas, very expensive, but. The things that we did when we were there visiting you guys, just like different hikes, going to the beach, different walks and trails and everything, certainly keeps you busy.
Yeah, for sure. There's never a shortage of things to do. Rent, it sucks, but
Yeah.
I guess like most things, you get what you pay for. So, we don't live too far from the beach. We live close enough to the mountains. There's, music, concerts. Probably every week you could find something. So there's always things to do, and yeah, I mean, you get what you pay for. So, and gas is more expensive, but
Right.
I ride my bike to work sometimes, so it's fine.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. In moving in, one of my roommates moved from Southern California. He actually went to the Bay, and he went to college in the Bay Area. But that's what he was joking. He's like, oh, I'll just ride my bike to class. And Jeff's like, well, my other roommate was like, well, what about the rain? He's like, well, oh yeah, I guess I can't ride my bike every day. But certainly the feeling of getting up and just being able to do anything, is certainly, that's what we always showed when we were out there. It's just like, well, what do you want to do today? Because everything was on the table.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, and especially, I mean, right now it's obviously the world is a strange place right now, but trying to find the positives and make the most of each day. And we've been actually taking advantage of the beach a lot more. Probably went to the beach like every day for the past couple weeks, even if it's just walking down in the morning or going down at night for sunset or something. But and they just recently reopened it up for like actually using it for the beach. Like before, you were allowed to walk, run, surf, swim, but now you can actually just go and hang out. So
that's nice. Well, you have the doggo as well, so that certainly helps you guys be able to do some different things, go to the dog park and everything.
Yeah, he's getting tired of us because we are both home a lot more now. So he's getting a lot more walks and attention. I think he's surprisingly getting kind of sick of us, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, you guys have certainly been, with everything. With all things considered, you guys have certainly gotten a chance to travel quite a bit too, especially just like within the West Coast. I know that you guys had that Joshua Tree trip. You did some camping there, and tell me a little bit about those things.
Yeah, so I mean, California in general, I think a lot of people just think of it as a state, whereas it is basically the size of like the eastern coast for the most part. Right. So you have a whole lot of different options. You can get to the mountains where there's snow. You can be at the beach, the desert, like any option you can think of, you can find in the States. So we've been lucky enough to travel and camp. Yeah, Joshua Tree's beautiful. I'd recommend it to anyone that comes out here. Probably not this time of year. We looked at going out there and it's like 110 degrees during the day. So probably wait till the fall. But even, up north, Yosemite and Mount Whitney, there's tons of great stuff to do up there. Anything, if you're outdoorsy at all, you can always find something to do. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's one of the major takeaways we took from San Diego in general, is just being outside is just, it's different, out there. I know that, and I want to talk about this too. You working for a brewery, juggling that. With also being able to, do some outdoorsy things, kind of, stay in shape, stay fit and everything like that. It's certainly a little bit more of a struggle than a typical person would have. But, when we were out there, just doing, softball at, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and it's, beautiful outside, just getting a chance to stay outside longer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can be outside probably as much time as you want to spend outside. You can find something to do here. It's weird working in a brewery now that I'm doing it, full time for the past few years. It's I actually think I might drink less beer, surprisingly, which is okay with me.
Right.
But yeah, you just have to find that balance. I think I enjoy being outside, whether it's riding my bike or running or just hanging out at the beach and kind of staying fit that way. So that was never a huge issue, but still, I mean, yeah, there's 150 breweries in San Diego County alone, so
Jeez.
You just have to everything in moderation. You can enjoy your beer, but if you enjoy doing other stuff too, you'll be fine, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think that was the coolest part about being out there is, we were pretty busy. You had to work a little bit. We were fortunate enough to go out with Jess and go hiking and do a couple different things, but just being able to have a beer each night, a good beer after you've been outside the entire time. I mean, it's just the life of a, what do you call it, San Diegan or San Diego?
San Diego works for me, yeah.
Something like that, but yeah. So I mean, obviously, working for a brewery, kind of talked about even just playing like intramurals and everything. I know that you work for Carl Strauss, and then formerly with Coronado. You guys lived in Coronado there for a little bit.
Correct, yeah. Ironically enough, the actual Coronado brewery is now in San Diego, not in Coronado, just because it's too expensive to build a production brewery on it's technically not an island, but I won't get into that right now. It's connected by a little piece of land, but it was when we moved out here. We basically came out for 2 days. Looked at probably 10 or 15 different places. Coronado wasn't even really on the radar just because it's known to be more expensive and, it can be hard to get on and off. There's a Navy base there, and you can pretty much only get to it by bridge or driving an hour down south almost to the border and then back up.
Right.
So we just went over there for the day just to check it out and hang out. And we saw a place there's a lot of construction going on, and we saw a sign that said they were renting, and we're like, oh, whatever, let's go in and see. And they had a good amount of rent promotions going on, and we ended up talking to them, and we were able to get, free rent at the beginning, and it sort of made it work. I mean, I don't think, probably wouldn't go back there again if I were to do it all over, but we're happy with the experience and definitely happy with where we are now. So. Right.
Yeah, so the switch from Coronado now working for Carl Strauss. I mean, even I just even noticed the camaraderie and some of the you obviously are in intramurals. You work marketing, correct? So I guess kind of take me through a little bit of that and sort of your typical work day and what that entails.
Yeah, so marketing is kind of a word that we have a lot of different people on the marketing team and a lot of people doing a lot of different things. And I do focus on digital marketing, so website, all of our social media, photography, updating beer menus on our websites and for our brew pubs. So just the social media component alone is, really time consuming. People don't think you take pictures and you post them. Cool.
Right.
And there's a lot more that goes into it, but I think on any given day you go in and you kind of catch up on what happened, because we're not necessarily a national brand, but we're known in the beer community across the country. So we have people on the East Coast. The time zones are different and everything. So you kind of have to play a little catch up when you get in. And then typically a lot of photos are needed, whether that's for social media or, a lot of the projects I've been working on lately were for our online menus for ordering to go, because our brew pub, we have a lot of brew pubs, which is kind of unique for breweries. Most places just brew beer, but we actually have 11 locations with restaurants. So this whole, COVID thing has really shaken the company a bit. So we had to kind of pivot everything that we were doing and be, agile and be able to react to it. So a lot of what I've been doing has been more brew pub centric rather than beer centric lately. So a lot of food photography, working with the brew pubs and the chefs, and just making sure that we are reaching our customers in an effective way. So I think it sounded like I said ineffective way, but
no, I gotcha. No, I mean, so obviously, incredibly busy. It's not the typical, I guess. Sure, you have the San Diego lifestyle where it's a little bit more laid back, but you have a full-time job too, which I think that connotation with people that live in California sometimes gets slipped up. Just because you happen to be outside and enjoying life doesn't mean that you don't also work quite a few hours a week.
Right, that's true. I mean, definitely California in general is so much more laid back than anything on the East Coast. I grew up on the East Coast and worked on the East Coast, so you sort of have to be ready or available, 24/7. Here, it's a little more casual. I'm fortunate that a lot of what I do, I can work from my phone. I can work remotely. I can go take pictures at the beach, and I'm technically working. So it's nice, but it's not quite quite as fast paced as the East Coast, but it's we're still doing the same thing that everyone else does, just trying to enjoy life at the same time.
Well, speaking of your East Coast roots, big Flyers fan, which is the primary reason why I wanted to talk to you here, obviously other than just catching up with you, but one heck of a hockey player growing up, big time hockey fan. In terms of any one of my friends or people that I know, definitely the best hockey player I've ever seen play. In person. It was pretty incredible watching and everything. But it is pretty remarkable to see how you've kept hockey, or at least some iteration of hockey, throughout your life. Even growing up all the way to even playing intramural and some rec league out there. So. I guess take me through sort of like what got you into hockey, why you sort of got into it, and then kind of where it took you to where you're at.
Yeah, it's a good question. Definitely not a common sport for kids to grow up playing. I think it's definitely a growing sport right now. But you don't hear a lot of kids, at least in our hometown, that grew up playing hockey. But my dad played hockey growing up, so I think it was going out and skating with him when I was growing up, and then sort of watching games, going to games with him, and really getting a passion for it. And then from there, it's just working at it. And I still play out here, and we actually got the word this morning that the league's going to start back up in 2 weeks. So I'm excited. We've had a few months off. I'm going to be a little rusty getting back out there, but I'm excited to skate again. So
yeah, that's awesome. Obviously you say not many people grow up playing hockey. It's sort of a niche type of sport where you kind of need to have some basics, or at least some simple knowledge, know-how, even to get into the sport. And I know that hockey is something that definitely when you watch it, on TV, the speed just does not translate to how quick they actually are. And the idea of just skating on ice, or even roller skating, rollerblading, doing whatever, it's certainly a hand-eye coordination thing. But I think that a lot of people, either really envy the people that rollerblade, or realize how difficult it is. But it's definitely a means of just being active, doing some different things that allows you to be a little bit more versatile. So, what do you guys do to try to maintain that, or get into it?
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of things throughout that question.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I guess starting out, just hockey in general, I've always kind of, I appreciate about it as well. Like, you could probably take a professional athlete from almost any other sport, and they could maybe hang. I mean, they'd at least look like they knew what they're doing in a lot of other sports. But then hockey, you throw on ice skates, and it's like
Yeah.
you're not just running, you're not just walking, whatever it might be, but you have to do a whole other thing. You have to learn that, and then the stick handling and the skating backwards and kind of knowing the game. And yeah, like you said, the pace, even like if you go to a Hershey Bears game or whatever it might be, a college game, the difference in pace from an NHL game live, if you can ever get to one, it's really impressive. And I think when playoffs roll around, that's always exciting and people kind of like the sport then. But I think once you go to one NHL game live, I think it kind of changes people's opinions about it. But as far as staying active for it, I mean, there's nothing that really compares to skating, which has been tough. I don't think I've played since February, so just skating is, you can't replace that. But as goofy as rollerblading looks sometimes, that's a pretty good alternative for ice skating.
Not too much ice out in San Diego.
No, you'd be surprised, actually. I was going to say, like, we talked about the sun and outdoor activities, but what a lot of people don't realize is nobody in San Diego is from San Diego, so it's all transplants. I'm from Pennsylvania, obviously, and on my men's hockey team alone, there's 4 or 5 Canadians, and it's like the level of I played in Westchester when I was living in Westchester, played men's league, and the competition's pretty good, but then out here it's like even better, which is surprising, and there's at least 5 rinks I can think of in San Diego County. So yeah, there's a lot of people playing, but yeah, I mean, staying fit, you just definitely like running and having good cardio. Hockey's unique too, that you have real short shifts, short bursts, so you go out 30, 45 seconds as fast as you can, and then you come in, you have a minute to rest, do it again. So kind of like endurance for the entire length of the game, but then real short bursts of speed are needed. So I'm certainly not going out and running hills or sprints as much as I should, but it would help if I did.
Yeah. Well, in keeping it, right there is just the fact that not a lot of people do it. Like I said, it could be daunting. So, to someone just starting off, hockey kind of seems like one of those sports where it feels like if you don't start very young, that it can almost be impossible to try to pick it up, or at least even just rollerblade. But getting the right equipment and understanding sort of where to go can certainly help.
Yeah, I mean it's helpful. It's like like, not to overuse an expression, but like riding a bike. Like once you learn to skate, it's not something you forget. But if you wait till you're an adult to do it, it might be a little bit harder. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely tough to think of just going out and starting, and even like comparing rollerblading to it. Like you talked me up a little bit too much probably, but I'm a decent ice skater, and I'm not a great rollerblader. They don't translate perfectly, so I can go out and like rollerblade down the street and not fall over, but I can't do what I can do on ice skates. So,
what's the biggest difference?
I think because you're on like ice is a hard surface, but there's still a little give. You can turn and kind of cut into the ice, whereas there's no give on the road. Like, I mean, you push in against it, it's not going anywhere. So you have to be also, I don't know, just stopping. Like when you stop sideways on ice skates, and there's a little bit of give. Spray a little bit of the ice.
Yeah.
If you do that on the road, you're just gonna fall on your face. So.
Sounds like you're speaking from a little bit of experience, or?
Yeah, probably.
So, I mean, you grew up playing like any sort of like street hockey, or you primarily stayed like on the ice?
Yeah, definitely played street hockey. That was always a fun thing to do in the summers, and not during the hockey season. I play with actually like remember playing with my dad and my sister when I was a little kid. We had a little net, and then if people wanted to play, and growing up, I'd always be down to play street hockey. But yeah, I mean, if it's like your goal to go out and play, obviously one thing too I mentioned, it's not that common. You hear about people playing hockey, it is an expensive sport to get into. Just equipment alone is, you need skates, gloves, helmet, stick, pads,
Right.
And all of that can add up pretty quickly. I think if that's something that you're interested in learning, your best bet would be to go to your local rink, and there's always either people trying to sell used equipment, or they have kind of like swaps where you can go and see what used equipment will be available. But to like think about going and committing to this sport and buying all new equipment without really knowing if you're going to like it or not, I don't know if that's your best bet.
Right. Right. So now that you're out in San Diego, do you find yourself that you're content, I guess, with roller skating, or do you still pretty much prefer the rink?
I prefer the rink. It's something, I don't know, everyone has a few of those things that like once you're doing it, you're like, perfectly in the zone, you're happy with what you're doing. And for me, when I hit the ice, it's nothing really compares to it. So rollerblading's fun, but it will never really compare to actually getting out on the ice. Although, it's nice to enjoy the weather. And so rollerblading on, near the beach, that's pretty nice, but I think I'd pick ice over it. Right.
So what type of things do you notice? So like when you go, even just something like rollerblading, where are you at physically the next day, or to get warmed up, or to kind of be there?
You mean like how am I feeling the day after I rollerblade?
Yeah.
I think I get it. So rollerblading, which is different for me than hockey, hurts my ankles a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
which is like a bender is a term in hockey where you like aren't very good and your ankles bend in when you're trying to skate. That doesn't happen on ice skates for me, but rollerblades I'm still trying to figure out. But yeah, definitely it's a lot of legs, a lot of core if you're doing it right, but definitely feeling the legs the next day.
Yeah. So what do you do to get ready to go rollerblading? So so say someone comes up to you and be like, "Hey Zeke, I want to skate with you." What's like? Does somebody at rollerblades typically have like an extra set of skates that they can someone can borrow, or you can rent, or kind of go from there? Or
as far I mean, that would probably depend on where you are, but I'm sure you could find places to rent. Play it against sports are all over the place, and they can get you used stuff for cheap. Rentals, I'm not quite sure unless you actually go to like a skating arena or whatever. But yeah, to get actually like ready to skate, if you asked me like 10 years ago, I would say I don't know, I would just go out and do it. But now that I'm getting old, definitely warming up, whether that's like at least once you have the skates on, like not going right into it and trying to go as fast as you can. And definitely stretching. Like my quads and hamstrings are always super tight, so gotta stretch those bad boys out. Probably good to get a little groin stretch in too.
Of course, yeah. You never know when you're going into a full split. Especially if you eat it a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully never, but it happens.
Yeah. So you mentioned there's 5 different, or at least 5 that you can think of right now, the ice skating rinks. Is that something that if someone's out in a nicer weather climate, obviously you don't always think to being inside. I think San Diego is a little bit more unique to the fact that it's nice all the time, or I guess you said it just rained yesterday, so. But in terms of an indoor activity, other than say ice hockey, what else is there to be on the ice, or just going for like a free skate or anything like that?
So I mentioned earlier, I think like hockey's definitely a growing sport. You see more and more Americans in the NHL each year, which is pretty exciting. I think a lot of top athletes growing up, you see the salaries that football players get and baseball players get, and you want to maybe chase those dreams. But I think hockey's definitely finding its place. There's tons of new technology, like maybe you haven't seen, but 2 years ago they played the outdoor game in Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
and they're almost creating like this wax type ice surface that you can skate on. I've heard the good stuff, like NHL quality stuff, is pretty similar to ice, pretty good. I've been on stuff before where it feels like you're skating on wax, but just like we had these trainers when I was growing up. It was like a plastic sheet, and there was boards on either side, and you'd be on your socks going back and forth, and it's never quite the same as being on ice, but it's getting to a point where it's getting pretty close.
Yeah. That's crazy. Actually, I wouldn't have even thought to put two and two together. Obviously, you never, unless it's a sport that you played or something that you follow, you never think of the technology that has also gone with it. But I mean, I would imagine even from when you started playing hockey to now, the technology that's even in the skates, and you even said surfaces. I didn't even think that there would be a different sort of surface. Obviously, I guess you have more wet ice and more dry ice, or am I just making stuff up?
They also have rinks that I grew up playing in were, as you know, cold. Like, it was frozen because it was cold room, just like an ice box that you're playing in. Now they have the ability to freeze the ice from underneath. So when you go to a professional hockey game, it's not cold in the arena, but the ice is still frozen, so they're freezing it from underneath. And that makes a huge difference because when you're relying on the temperature of the building, if it gets warm in there at all, the ice is going to get soft and start melting. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, it's...
Yeah. So you said that some of the new stuff is like wax, like the outdoor arenas, or
yeah. So if you can picture like a roller rink where it's just like a white plastic surface, it almost looks similar to that, but it's like I don't know if they're calling it wax, but it's like a waxy material so that when you are stopping on it, it's similar to ice. When you're cutting into it, you can actually carve into the surface rather than like if you stepped out on those plastic sheets on ice skates, you'd probably fall over. You wouldn't be able to do anything. So it's actually like, replicating ice, but it's not the same, but it's getting pretty close.
Pretty close, right? Yeah, I'm trying to think. I guess I'm just like, it's one of those things where I've never played hockey. I remember playing street hockey as a kid and stuff like that. But sort of the evolution to like where I would even start now would be more just like rollerblading or doing it for leisure. Is it something that like you can find a group of people to do it with, or is it something where kind of just more of a mode of transportation?
Yeah, definitely. You can, at least here it sounds like where you moved to is nice enough weather, and fit, active people. San Diego's like perfect for pretty much anything like that. If you want to find something to do, you can find people who are doing it. And like here, again depends on where you live, but we have leagues out here where they're for beginners, adult beginners. So if you want to try it out, you could borrow a buddy's gear or find stuff for cheap and go and join a league like that. And yeah, it's nice to just get out and do stuff not often do you have that like sense of being on a team that you do when you're growing up, when you're playing, we play baseball together, obviously.
Right.
Other things where you have that like sense of camaraderie where, nothing can really beat that while you're doing it. And it's nice to kind of get that again with some of the guys that you play with. So it doesn't have to be hockey. It could be, whatever adult league sport you want to play, but important thing is just getting out there and doing it.
Right. Yeah. Amen to that. So you said that you got the email or the call today is that leagues are officially starting back up. So that'll kind of occupy your time a little bit more than I guess what you've been doing. But speaking of what you've been doing, what's sort of your activity while you're out there? Let's talk, I guess, a little bit more about just like living in San Diego or like nicer climate in general. You get more ideas of different things that you could do, as opposed to just your typical you go out and you run or you go out and you have a nice walk. You can surf a little bit, and skateboard and longboard and do some of those things. What do you find yourself going after, on certain days?
Sorry, my dog is whining.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, for sure, running and walking will probably always be the easiest thing for anyone to get out and do because you don't need anything but a pair of shoes. Some people run barefoot, which is kind of crazy, but here, not everyone can go out and surf or swim or whatever that might be. So obviously we're doing that here. And surfing is a kind of a unique sport. And like, until you do it, you don't know if you really understand it. like no matter what muscles you're working on, if you do a million push-ups a day, if you're doing like there's these muscles when you surf that I don't know how to target them any other way but surfing. So I'm always sore after I surf. But yeah, and then I mean just like biking. If you have a bike, there's great biking out here. I actually was getting like kind of into rock climbing before all this started, and now the gyms are closed. So rock climbing is another one where unless you're doing it all the time, you're going to be super sore after you do it. And I don't have the technique at all. You're supposed to like use most of your legs, and your arms are just like there to support you. But I'm like all arms,
like latching on. Yeah,
like free solo. Holding on for dear life, even though I'm strapped in.
You've seen that? How ridiculous! And now you've been to Yosemite, right?
Yeah.
And now you've seen that slab in El Cap.
It's you still can't even understand it when you're looking at it. It's like I wouldn't be able to do that if there were stairs going up it, and that guy did it just climbing like a wall. Like you just look at like the wall in your house. That's pretty much what it looks like, and he's finding these little holds to go the whole way up without being strapped in.
Yeah, no, that movie I was like sweating the entire time because it's just ridiculous. I've never been to Yosemite, and that's one thing that I think that Sarah and I definitely admire you and Jess for even just making that move, because that's something that I think that I think that even in talking to you as frequently as we do, which is not very often, it always seems like there's just something that you guys have either done or have had access to that just becomes, pretty hard to do. So actually making that move and making that jump out there to be able to do any of the things that you guys have access to do is pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think I feel like I maybe mentioned this earlier, but we moved out here for a handful of reasons, not realizing everything that we were opening ourselves up to when we moved out here. So there's Yosemite's 6-7 hour drive, just so many adventures that are out here that we weren't really expecting or planning for, but now that they're here, it's like, yeah, of course we're going to take advantage of it. You mentioned you haven't been there. If anyone, that's one of my top, like, if you don't know about it, doesn't matter, you need to go. It should be on your bucket list. It's like the most mind-blowing place you'll ever be.
Yeah, go explain a little bit more. Just like when you get there and driving there.
You see pictures, and it's like, okay, I kind of have an idea, but it's like it just it puts things into perspective of like how freaking cool the world is. We get so consumed in what we're doing on a day-to-day basis and seeing social media and whatever that might be, and then you kind of like rarely take a step back and actually are like, this isn't such a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely one of those places that'll like make you wake up a little bit. Grand Canyon too. I was never like, I need to go to the Grand Canyon like some people, and we kind of did like a spur of the moment road trip out there, and you've seen the pictures online or postcard, whatever. It doesn't do it justice at all. It's like as wide and as deep as you can possibly imagine something,
right,
and then make it wider and deeper.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, that's like I said. It's something that when you move out there, you don't really think about. Like, we're going to go to the Grand Canyon, we're going to go to Yosemite. It's like you just kind of live in San Diego, but you guys have certainly made the most of just like your outdoor endeavors.
Yeah, definitely. We're pretty. I was always outdoorsy kind of growing up. I'd go camping with my dad and whatnot. And Jess wasn't really a camper before, but she's really bought into it, and we've been something that we enjoy doing together now. So that's pretty cool.
So how huge is that, having a significant other with you when you move?
That's when you move, or when you're doing it out.
Like just like anything, just doing it with someone else.
It's helpful to have someone that's willing to make that jump with you, because it makes you maybe think you're not as crazy for doing it, or at least you have like someone when you do it. It could be. I can't imagine doing it by myself. But with that said, not everyone has a significant other, or not everyone, has someone that's willing to make a jump with them. And if it's something you want to do, I say go for it. I don't have regrets of doing this, and I don't think Jess would say she does. We've enjoyed it, and it's been it's been something different. I don't know if we'll be here, forever, but we're happy we did it. And 4 years has gone by like insanely fast. So, yeah, I don't know. It's helpful definitely because you have a friend with you or someone that you can talk to. If you had a tough day and you're out there by yourself, it might be kind of lonely, but yeah, I think you can get through it. And now with technology, it's so easy to talk to people at any. You're in North Carolina,
right?
California, it's almost like we're in the same room talking. So
yeah.
I think that helps, but it's definitely helpful to have someone that will be there for you when you get home, kind of thing. And we also have a dog, which is sort of not the same as a person, but when you walk in and there's like a happy little fluff ball there to greet you, it's always nice. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I even go to what you guys, what you guys are able to accomplish. It kind of contradicts even today's society, today's culture of being on your phone, being in social media, and it's almost it's kind of it's always. Yeah, you got to get a hold of Zeke, and it just always seems like you guys are out there doing something, and that's something where I think I wish that a lot more people were able to do. I mean, even like Sarah and I, since moving to North Carolina, we have like Hanging Rock State Park, which is beautiful, and then we're excited in Nashville. There's the Looking Glass Trail, which is like what all the country songs are about, pretty much. But just getting a chance to actually like put your phone down. And do some of these activities, these things that you guys do, whether that be hockey, whether that be surfing or windsurfing or whatever's out there, to actually take advantage of that and the nice weather. People kind of get stuck in inside and not really opening up their eyes and making a move like what you guys did, and then being involved at what you guys were able to do.
Yeah, I mean, we're super fortunate that I think we were like right on the edge of technology being completely in control of our lives. We didn't have phones till maybe high school, middle school, whatever, and certainly didn't have all the features that a phone would have on it now. So I don't feel like we were always distracted by Instagram and Snapchat and whatever it might be growing up. So I think that allowed us to like explore different things. I will say it's tough because that's what I do for work now. Like I have to be on my phone all the time, but it's you try and find a balance of working when you're supposed to and then enjoying life when you're supposed to. And I'm certainly not great at it, but I'd like to keep working on it, and hopefully when you are out and about and enjoying nature, just make sure that you're present and not checking your phone, because I think a lot of people miss life by being on their phone and wishing they were somewhere else. So there's a lot of good things that are happening all around us all the time, and if you pay attention to them, you'll see that.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I mean, just you just talk about putting the phone away and everything, but even just some of the pictures and different Snapchats and different posts that you guys have. I mean, but then actually getting a chance to be out there and hanging out with you guys, it's just like you just kind of snap the picture because you don't need to do too much to it, and then you just enjoy the time out there. Obviously, you guys had mentioned that you also have the pupper out there too, so it makes it a little bit tougher to be on your phone, especially when you got to watch a small child too.
Yeah, I mean it is a lot easier out here, I'd say. Well, it depends on the kind of person you are, but like you can be blown away by the beauty of this place and not really feel like you need any distractions, which might be tougher in a place like where we grew up.
Right.
Not always things to do, and it's like, I'm gonna check my phone for a little bit, and get a little bit can turn into a lot of it. And but I mean, with that said, like everyone is always posting the best parts of their lives, and I don't like to send Snapchats when I'm sitting behind my desk at work, so certainly the beach and the hikes and nature and all that is there, and we're doing it, but there's a whole lot of other things going on too that you might not always see.
So where in San Diego are you guys now?
Pacific Beach, which is like 10 minutes without traffic from the city, close to the airport.
Okay.
Which is where we're still at the same place.
Right. So I mean, so on a daily basis. So I guess let's try to get in through like a daily life. What you do sort of every day. You wake up, you go to work, or obviously COVID is sort of putting a damper on some of those things. But what do you guys find yourself doing on a daily basis out there?
So, yeah, definitely life has changed a little bit since COVID. I mean, I'm still working, but it's mostly remote and a little bit less hours. Which has actually been nice because it's given us time. Like I said, we've been going down to the beach a lot more and just having the time. Like we cruise down to the beach in the morning most mornings. We'll walk down in the afternoon and kind of like, whatever. I can check my phone in a half hour when we get back. So it's given us some time to do stuff. But I'd say any given day, we'll probably wake up, cruise down to the beach. We've been doing Insanity a lot just because it's like we have a couple of the discs here.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do some sort of, we'll either like try and do something like that or go for a run or a bike ride or something. And then, usually there's work to be done that I have to do for a few hours in the day. Jess too, I mean, her business took a pretty big hit, but it's still like, trying to plan for the future with that.
Right.
So she's working as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like days fly by with this, with everything that's going on. It seems like like it feels like it's been years since this started, and it's only been a couple months. But then at the same time, it's like, holy crap, it's already June. I feel like it was just your birthday, and it's almost been a month since your birthday.
I know, it's crazy. That's what Sarah and I actually talk about a lot is even the, you said even like with the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and actually like putting your phone down, stopping and enjoying your time. That above anything is what I've noticed. Just with spending time with Sarah, spending time with the roommates, friends, family. Just getting a chance to kind of slow down and enjoy your time, knowing that, COVID certainly, rocked everyone's world there for a pretty long time where you're kind of like, only in your house and not getting a chance to do much or anything. But getting a chance to slow down, put your phone down and enjoy what really has been given to you on the planet, it has been really nice.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a strange couple of months for sure, but hopefully we come out of this, better. And the new normal will be an interesting thing because I think this thing has exposed a lot of things that weren't quite necessary, and hopefully people come out of this realizing what's actually important versus what they thought was important. So. Right.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, for whatever reason, it's saying poor connection on my end. It really hasn't gotten a chance to refresh. Can you see me on your end?
Yeah, you're looking great.
Oh, appreciate that. I wish I could say the same for you. However, I cannot see you, but I know for a fact you look great. So it's
Wait, have
fine.
you been able to see me this whole time?
Yeah, up until about 5 minutes ago, but it's no big deal. It's a podcast.
I covered my camera with a little box that says poor connection to $30. Oh,
that'd be a good little hack there. You ever see the people
breathing into the phone like?
Yeah. Sorry, can't hear you.
Going through a tunnel.
Yeah. But hey, man, no, I appreciate you. You sitting down and talking out everything. I think that the main thing that obviously hockey is one of those things, and rollerblading is one of those things that anyone can do. You just kind of have to get out there. But I think it's more important to hear, to get outside, to do things that are non-conventional. I think that everyone sort of thinks that lifting weights and running and doing the biking and doing some of these things is the reason for fitness. But I think that you and Jess really just kind of blow the doors off of that, because you guys can you can hike and you can actually enjoy the things that were provided for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's whether you have the ability to do some of the things we do or not. If you're enjoying what you do, I think that's. I think a lot of people are scared of fitness. Let's say like they've run before, they went on a bike ride and it just sucked, and it's kind of deterred them from it. But you can always find something different and something actually like you enjoy doing, and that makes fitness or working out a whole lot more fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're surfing or when you're rollerblading, it doesn't feel like a workout. You're not doing it for the purpose of working out. You're doing it because you like it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, hey, I still wanna catch up. We'll end this here now, but I still wanna catch up with you and Jess then a little bit later. I think Sarah just walked into the room too, so I guess we'll hang up on this call, but certainly appreciate you sitting down.
Of course.
And
whenever you're ready for advanced hockey, part 2, I can walk you through it.
Yeah, no, that'll work, and that's what that's the purpose of what I like to do for the purpose of this is more to just open people's eyes, allow them to think outside the box, whereas the idea of you haven't tried rollerblading, it might just be because you don't even know rollerblading exists, or you did it as a kid, but yeah, definitely I'd love to do it again sometime, and kind of take on a more advanced approach and get into the cutting and the techniques of actually getting on the ice.
Yep.
So
sounds good, my friend.
All right, brother. Well, hey, I'll catch up with you a little bit later, and thanks again.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Take it easy.
See ya.